Hey everyone, how's it going? It is Monday Night Review Crew. Big J and Kai here talking all things Supercoach this week and all things AFL, where Tom Lynch loves to punch people out and say, oh, I don't know what I was doing. It was just there in my fist and it was blah, blah, blah.
Oh, that was bad.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Bad time for, I guess no one. Let me quickly see how many Tom Lynch owners there are in Supercoach because, mate, I know that prices, I know that trades kind of just don't exist anymore. Sneaky look. Okay, Kai, without you cheating and without anyone else cheating in the chat, because we now have 11 people watching, which is bloody fantastic for just after the season's finished, or just after the bye rounds. But can you tell me, Kai, how many % of teams Tom Lynch is in? Can you make a guess?
Well, he was probably like 20% owned probably in the first 5 or so rounds. So I'd say he's probably still in like 3 or 4% of teams.
Okay. This was surprising. He, for myself, is in 6% of teams. 12,500 people now own the guy that, you know, he was 180K coming into this season. If he gets 10 weeks off or some stupid number, he might end up going down to about 200K again come next year. So maybe another sneaky selection.
He might not play AFL again, to be honest with you. He's turning 33 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 8 games left in the year. Did he even get cited for his foot scrape or whatever? Or did they just go, you know what, you're just going to get enough for this punch that you've basically thrown? We
can go and have a bit of a look right now.
Because he's going to get 5 for the punch, I have a feeling.
Yeah. So, staff writer. Wow, I wonder if that's actually someone's real name or if that's just GBT. Tom Lynch is directly sent to the tribunal, punched out a few people, gave away 5 free kicks. I remember he was, what was he? He was something like -15 AFL Fantasy, -3 or 4 Supercoach.
The commentator had the joke that he'd given away more free kicks than touches at halftime.
There you go. Did not properly connect with his hit on butts to match review, intentional contact, blah, 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 blah. He was fined a bunch of money. And then we'll see. Kane Corn said Lynch lost the plot. So there you go, Kai. Lost the plot, it seems. How's everyone going in the chat? Ricky, how you doing, Ricky? Corey, how you going, Corey? Yeah, I suppose it's been a good evening. Bad week, 1854. Now, I'm not sure what you scored this week, Kai, but I beat 1854. It wasn't by much, though. I made a bit of a boo-boo. I thought Captain Hindsight striked again for myself this week and realised I could have kept McCarthy going on the bench or on as a flex for a while and went Shy Bolton to someone like Marshall for 50K. And, yeah, it's just going to hurt me death riding Shy Bolton for the next 8 weeks.
I was lucky to get to 1829, put it that way. That's how bad my round was. I had 2, 3, 4. I had 4 or 5 premiums. Make that even like 6 go below about 70, 75. I pretty much copped it from left, right, like everywhere.
Where is it? Let me just show. So, Frankie, bit of a spoiler for everyone watching, right? If I show you guys how my team went this week I scored 1885. Frankie, don't feel so bad. The Phantom, who's supposed to be the AFL content god, whatever it is, gets paid by Herald Sun AFL, Al Patton love child, only scored 1770 this week. So, hey, you didn't score that bad compared to a professional that actually gets paid to do Supercoach. So, you're doing well, Frankie. Bad week for a lot of people. Not so bad for some. Ricky, original plan was to trade Roberts to Bont, Errol in 2 trades, bring me down to 2. considering trading Shees in a single trade to Bont due to the injury concern, plus the role is bad. Yeah. Sheasel, I would have loved if he kept doing what he was doing, but for some reason, Clarko keeps moving him around, which obviously isn't great.
Clarko's going to get himself sacked by doing this.
Yeah.
He is just... I mean, it doesn't help when you've got a leader called Jai Simpkin and whatever the heck he's doing, but, like, you put your best... You have to put Sheasel around the ball. Like, common logic says if the ball is going to get into the forward line, he's no use in the forward line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. I mean, like, it's where he does best. It's where he scores the most points for us in Supercoach, and it's where I think even when Sheasel was playing back and half back in his first year or even last year as well, it's where he has the most influence on the ball, and it's where he does the best because he has the most influence on the ball. If he didn't go in that type of position, it just wouldn't be that good for him. He wouldn't be the player that he is, and just put him there.
You could easily just put him on the wing and then just say sweep behind the contest, and then he'd suddenly just be able to just run the show from there. He could just basically tell him to do the Errol Goulden, and it would be like, wow, he's just come back, because Errol's just basically been allowed to free reign wherever he wants to go and just sets himself up 5 meters behind the ball half the time.
Yeah, 100%. Guys, now, if you are watching, like, share, subscribe. If you guys can, do the same for Kai's channel. We are going to basically run just off what you guys are saying in chat, and then just talk a bunch of Supercoach and AFL as well. My team is effectively done. Just kind of running through what will be you guys' questions and whatnot. Probably looking at maybe an 8 o'clock finish today. So just taking it a bit easy in the second half of the season, and go from there, really. So, yeah, Ricky, don't mind the trade. I think Bontempelli is going to murder North Melbourne. It's just a sad thing that, you know, he's done a bit of a Jordan Dawson at the moment, and every 3 weeks is now a good score, and then the rest of them are poor scores. So it's very unlike Bont. If you had gone someone like Butters instead, I mean, what's Bont's 3-round average? I don't know if the Supercoach is going to tell me. One sec. No, it won't tell me. Summary. Yeah. Bont's 3-round average is not great. 102. So if you spent 645K on a 102 average for the last 3 weeks, you're not happy. That's all I'm going to say. Greek Raven, hey guys, had a good week, scored 2089. Nice work. So glad I traded Gorn to Grundy 3 weeks ago. Yeah, man, Grundy's been on a tear. He has gone monster. He has gone bananas, and I don't think anyone's going to catch him. If you had a mix of Grundy, Decam, and Marshall Kai, you'd be very, very happy at the moment.
Yeah, Grundy suddenly, if those top 2 in Gorn and Cherry have another 2 or 3 bad weeks, that ruck All-Australian is just going to become wide open. That's how good Grundy's last 7 or 8 weeks has been. He's demolishing dual rucks like they're no tomorrow. Yeah, no, 100%. It's a good time to have all the alternative rucks. I feel bad now. As I was saying just at the start of this, could have gone Bolton to someone like Marshall for 50K. Would have been great. But yeah, just how life goes in Supercoach land. So it's a bit crazy at the moment. Corey scored 2102. Nice work, Corey. You are going to eclipse me. I think this week and last week, I thought Kaya was going to be okay in terms of holding ranks. You know, I've got 16, 17 primos and a couple of dead rookies. Sorry, not dead rookie, dud rookies. I've dropped like 500 ranks in the last 4 weeks. It's not been great. Yep.
Yeah. Missing 8 primos this week. There you go. 2,100 before taking away 11 points. Yeah. Scaling is a pain. I'll tell you what also is a pain, Kai. Bit of a story before I do my team review. On Friday, I went to the movies. I went and saw F1. Beautiful movie. If anyone wants to go see it, it's bloody fantastic. On Friday, Sydney and the Dogs played. At half time, all my primos were looking like, yeah, they're going to score hundreds. my primos did not score hundreds from that game. I still haven't watched the second half, but when I come back and watch it, Josh Fraser's on 150, Bont's on 63, Bailey Dale doesn't ton, Kennedy does okay, and Sam Darcy scored like 6 points after half time. What happened? What's going on?
It was almost like it was Fraser versus Heaney and Grundy effectively, and no one else did anything. It felt like, as well as Gordon. So it was it was, and somehow Norton scored, and then Bramble as well. So it was basically Fraser, Bramble, and English against Grundy, Heaney, and Gordon. No one else bothered to actually play the second half. It felt like.
Oh man, it was tough. Oh, I came back and watched the game. It was just like, oh shit, like that was it, you know. What's going? Bontempelli scored like 18 points in a quarter, in a half, and then bloody Callum Mills was on 48 or something, and then ended up on 67. It was not even 67, 56. It was a bloodbath.
Callum Mills gave away a 50 late in the game that conceded a goal, and I think he got like. He probably, I know it wasn't as clean in terms of being able to see what it cost him, but I think it cost him 10 or 15 points, that 150.
It was rough. Now, if only footyscores.net allowed me to do quarter-by-quarter breakdown, we could see the massive differential in point scoring, but apparently Dale got tagged, Fraser 3 goals in the third quarter and 4 for Heaney in the fourth, so there you go. Yep. Went George Hewitt over the Bont. At time, everyone was bringing him in. There you go. Butters would have been fantastic too. Heck, even Connor Rosie, I think, outscored Bont by 200 points already.
Yep.
So, nanas. Had the worst week of my life. Charles, hopefully it was only in Supercoach land and not in real life. Hopefully, do you reckon they'll get rid of the sub, Kai? We've got something here from Frankie. Getting rid of the sub, keep the sub. What's going to happen?
Surely Nat 5 getting injured as the sub before the sub even comes on is a testament to how bad it is.
That was terrible. It's just like, Nat 5's not going to play. He got injured just on the bench. It's just like,
he got injured warming up just to sit back down again.
Yeah. It gives me Braden Bruce vibes, you know, where he was there and then skips out onto the field and got injured himself. So, yeah. Oh, mate. Oh, it's pretty funny. Fellas, VC Cherry versus Bont. No, do you have paid DFS or Kai?
Yeah.
Can you pull up the Rucks versus Rucks?
Let me bring this up because I did do the one thing I did do right this week was nail both my VC and captaincy across both formats. I will say that was one thing that I did well. I was on the I did the Grundy and VC, which was good in AFL Fantasy, so that was good.
I went on Dacos this week, which was cool. I personally, I think horse. There you go. You new horse. There you go. I've not seen you before. I would not be touching Cherry. I think just for the fact that I think North Melbourne's midfield is going to get dominated really hard. Cherry might do okay, but I really do think that he's going to get battered, bruised, and punched around versus Darcy and English this week. It's going to be nice having him. His past kind of scores have been okay, but I think this week in particular, watch the game, own Cherry, but don't have him as the VC. I think it's probably a fair thing to say. We've got Kai here, just having a look at the scores. Do you have the other table, Kai? I've got like the one DVP versus matchups. It looks different.
Let me see. 1 second. This one, I think it is. Is it this one?
Yeah, this is the one. So North Melbourne there.
If we do that way, you'll see, Geelong, Sydney, this is why I sort of I went Grundy in the other format just because he has one bad matchup basically and he's dominating everyone.
Mhm.
But then you go down here and you see, where is it? This is why I never went TDK as well. Like,
Mm.
no one's going to have
Yeah.
trades in Supercoach in the last 2 weeks anyway. So it like doesn't matter. And he's probably going to be like, I can't be bothered to play in the last 2 weeks because Carlton suck and I want out.
Oh, that's probably fair too. Rowan Marshall would have been great. West
Yeah,
Coast.
St Kilda there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hawks, Sydney, Geelong.
Rowan Marshall, that could be 3 games left though. But then he really, yeah.
Yeah. If we have a look, going back to Cherry, looks like a light blue matchup versus the Doggies, which it's okay. But I do think we're just going to get beaten out in the matchups. And the big differential now, just a heads up for everyone, obviously McCarthy's gone massive, which is what we want. But the big differential at the moment is just going to be players not getting, whoever you pick as your captain is probably going to be the big thing. It's partially why I've fallen off a little bit the last couple of weeks, and it's partially why some teams have done very, very well. So
yeah, if we just look at the individual ones, the captaincy is basically, do you have a game against a West Coast that you can take advantage of? Like the ruck is still absolutely huge differential. GWS, that was mostly just because Madden was rucking. That statistic's probably a little bit flawed. Then you've got Adelaide has somehow turned it around.
Yeah. I would love this week, fellas, if you go someone like a Max Holmes vice captain this week. You could easily go, if you wanted to, you could easily go like a Bontempelli versus North Melbourne this week, and then Max Holmes versus Richmond, and you'd be very, very, very happy. I think you'd be
if Gold, well, whoever plays, Witz is going to absolutely maul in the ruck as well because he's got Essendon matchup. That's a possible VC or captaincy option itself if you somehow have that differential, given it's the Saturday.
10.57 in the buys. That's pretty darn good. There you go. 21.40, and I thought I was shite and found out it was top. Yeah, man. I think just after that first game, a lot of people dodged the Bontempelli, Dale, Ed Richards type carnage.
It was the Thursday, Friday. That was horrific because you had the Port Adelaide as well.
Yeah, it just murdered everybody. So if you got through that, you'd be very happy. I'm going Wits VC against Essendon and C into bet. Corey, you might hit top 500 the way you're going. I got to watch out. I'm falling down the ranks. Just gone past top 1,000, which isn't great. And
watch Baz not even lose cash on a break even of 162.
There you go. At least over the buys, I went up 600 spots. Nice work, Frankie. There you go. Past the community team, though, through the buys. Yeah, if Joe was here, he'd be able to have a look as well. Hi, big talking points from this weekend. Who went big, who didn't? What's your thoughts?
Well, obviously the sub rule sucks because Horn Francis was able to ride it out and not have to do anything. I'm just going to quickly see if I can sort of sort this for Primo-esque players. Brody Grundy top scoring with the 179 alongside Rowan Marshall would be big difference makers because they're both sub 10%. Obviously, Connor Rosie, 150, he went big as well, which was annoying. And then who went really bad? You've got a lot of guys that were obviously on the bye, etc. The Whitfield news that he's now missing next week is a little bit annoying for owners. As that's probably worth what you'd say 30, 40 points, annoyingly, again this week, maybe even more. You've got Horn Francis that failed, Sheasel failed. Matty Roberts scraped the score. I don't know how he scraped to 62. He was probably one that got away with it because I want to say it was like 3 at halftime or something like that. If I'm right in thinking what his fantasy number was, which was 16, then he was on a 16-3 split at one point. So like he really did struggle. And if I just quickly look at it, he was even worse. I think he scored a lot of points in the last quarter. I think he did. So he might have even had a 30 or 40 point last quarter. That's how horrific he was. something dumb like that. But yeah, there's guys like that have just lost their role. Ed Richards as well for people. 600k guys goes 66. What else? Even guys like Ned Long and Sam Darcy just going mid-70s probably isn't the greatest. Just a lot of guys just... And then you had Caleb... Then you had the two Freo boys going 84 each in Sarong and Brayshaw. And I'm pretty sure both of them saved it in the last quarter as well. I'm pretty sure they were both in like the 40s, 50s, and they had decent last quarters. So yes, just a lot of... For guys that... It was one of those rounds, I think, for most of Primos, we sort of expect that sort of 105 score. There was just a lot of 80s, it felt like. And that's why we ended up with an 1800 or 1900 round for a lot of people.
Yeah, it was definitely the haves and have-nots. In AFL news, just in general, obviously Fife's there. North Melbourne, quite a few injuries this week. No George Wardlaw, who's a little bit worrying, could be one of those players that Corey's here as well, just having a chat about it. But Wardlaw potentially being out and being concussed, and had a lot of concussion injuries as a kid. And then now he's only 19, 20 and had 3 this year. So it's not great for him. Michael Voss potentially this week getting sacked. I know they've just offloaded the, is it like the CEO they've just offloaded? So there's something big as well. And what else? Just having a bit of a squeeze at the moment. I think probably biggest one, Kai, that we haven't touched on is Sandringham and St Kilda this week. Bit of a split. I don't think I've ever seen that, where maybe when North Melbourne, Kai, if you can remember, North Melbourne used to be Werribee's VFL team, and then they kind of split that way, but it's kind of big for them at the moment. No more
It'll make the VFL a lot worse quality, in my opinion, just because you've got Tassie also entering the comp. So you've got 2 extra teams entering the comp. It could make this, when injuries start to hit, because if you think about it, that's an extra, let's be realistic, about 60 players taken away. Those backup players start to really just fall off, like Sydney having to pick up their sort of Sydney Football League players rather than picking up like Melbourne or like a Western Australian guy that's spare. Those guys will already be there playing. So I think you're going to see quite... I think a couple people over the next little bit will be able to sort of get off the chain in the VFL somewhat, and you'll start to see more regularly those big games, just because a lot of teams are going to be a little bit worse in quality. Yeah, definitely. Roberts played halfback last quarter due to injury. Rampy cooked his calf, and that might be him done. He might get a send-off game, but Sydney really should be looking at... And that's also something we should almost point out, is that next year's Supercoach could almost be stuffed over because of the way the ladder is almost in a way. The ladder is so... There's 10 teams that are basically fighting out for finals, and already 8 teams that are just cooked. So those 8 teams are probably just going to start playing their rookies, and then they play 1 or 2 games, and then they get priced in at those awkward price points. So we could easily lose 10, 15, 20 rookies in the next sort of couple of weeks or rest of the season for next year, which would be annoying. Like, I know Sydney, there's an awful chance that the Tolley alongside Snell both play, where they were going to start next year, I would have hazarded a guess. So those are 2 just then. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Taj Houghton, Josh Smiley also get games for Richmond. Those are another 2. I mean, you could probably talk about North Melbourne probably having 2 or 3 there as well. But yeah, it is, I think, because team seasons are... Sydney is already at a point, and they're, I think, 14th, where they need results to start going their way. They could not make it with winning every single game. So when that happens, they start to debut the rookies. Yeah. It's, I think as well, kind of talking on that point, there's a lot of teams like Essendon as well. Melbourne's done it a few times this year where they've played a couple of players and then not played them again, and it's really come out and killed a few of their Supercoach scores. And
kind of murdered them for next year. There's going to be a lot of early 20 ranked players, early 200K players. Yeah, it's going to be interesting what the likes of Essendon does post-buy. Clark and Johnson and a few of those guys keep their spot. If there's a few others there. Just checking out the rankings as well, Kai. Sydney are currently ranked 12th on the ladder, but still have a fair chance compared, like according to Sportsbet, to make their way back into the 8 and then end up winning. So
no, they need to win 7 or 8. It's hard.
It could happen. You play Freo this week at home. Corey's saying here, game this week at SCG, worried about more slipping. Kai,
they just horrific that ground.
A lot of rain this week.
Oh yeah, there's Let me actually do a lot, because I was checking it during work, because there was almost there was concerns about it then, and it's currently at 10.6 centimeters of rain tomorrow, and then a further 18 mils the day after. So there's something like 160 mils in the next 3 days or so, 150 mils in the next 3 days, and that ground is already stuffed. So yeah, there's big concerns, especially because apparently, and what's sort of been murmuring is the Allianz is right next to the SCG, and that also has horrific turf, and they're both done by the same groundskeeping, it sounds like. So it sounds like they're potentially going to get the see you later, because it's unplayable what was dished up there.
Yeah, it was pretty crap. Just watching players run around and then slip over, and then reminds me of back in the old days when Marvel, people always used to complain about Marvel's kind of groundskeeping. Paras, hope you're doing well, mate. Hope you had a great weekend. Yeah, 100%. 9 teams vying for who gets to 14 wins first. Yeah, it's when you've got someone like Collingwood who just keeps winning. We've got Freo, 5-win streak at the moment. Geelong's on 4. And then sneaky Hawthorn, who's kind of submarined, I would say, out of nowhere, Corey. It's a bit of a rough one. What to do, Kai, for those people that have still got their trades in their teams? Who's available? I can't even pull up who's cheap in SuperCoach anymore, because I can't search everybody like I used to be able to in there. Let me pull up footy info and we'll have a bit of a...
I'm just saying, because at this point in the season, cash generation doesn't matter. So it's almost like if a guy's like 320K, you almost don't care if he gets any cheaper, or those really cheap guys itself. So I'm just trying to see who's got the mega break evens that's actually really cheap that you could generally go for. And there isn't really anyone that I like, because the one option that I was always just thinking about was like the Brett Daniels, but we haven't seen him. I don't know if I haven't actually checked the GWS injury report, which I think they just...
Very cheap as well. Initiator, how you doing, mate? Hawthorn have a few forwards coming back too. Lewis looked good. Yeah, 100%. If you're looking for... Let me go and do it this way, just to be a little bit sneaky. We've got it here, footy wire, back to the old kind of, hey, how you doing? We'll go through. Defenders at the moment. If there's someone that you want to bring in, season player rankings is the best way to go. Position defender. If you still have a defender left, Tom McCarthy, obviously he's on the bubble this week, looking like potentially he may break the SuperCoach record. I think he needs to score 100 and then he'll go up 102, beating what was Errol Goulden's record. Mate, I remember when Errol Goulden did that and everyone just had him, and I think we had him basically the entire year, Kai, and it was bloody phenomenal. Just moving down the list, probably wouldn't get Max Holmes. I know their run home is still very good, though that's just how it goes. Lockie Ash is one that if you guys want a sneaky pod in SuperCoach, let's have a bit of a look. If we're looking at pods, Lockie Ash for the pod. He scores at 58. He goes up 103K. There you go. Corey. 12% of teams. I don't think he is that highly owned in the top 1%, though. So if you want to go up and bring him in, it's fantastic. He is the one that seems to have benefited a lot without Whitfield in the team. And buys 30K. his scoring has not been terrible. Last few weeks, pumping out 100 pluses, kind of around this mark. Kai, would you start Lockie Ash next year?
That's almost like
depending on price, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I would be worried or something along the lines of they'll actually have to play one of their halfbacks or something like that, like a Fahey or someone like that. And then suddenly he goes to like a 95 or a 100 and you're like, basically what Sheila has done this year, almost in a way. And you're always like, oh, well, he's going to have some good games, some bad games, etc. But yeah, he's really just been able to round his games off. It doesn't feel like he's really ever had a bad game. I mean, his lowest score is an 80, and he's got a couple of big scores in there, a couple of 130s in there. But yeah, he's just been ultra consistent just looking at it. He's had 3 sub 100 scores, and one of them is a 95.
There you go. So cheapy players, Lockie Ash probably is one of the picks of the week. Still love Connor Rosie at 547. One player who I did trade out that probably in hindsight shouldn't have is Dane Zorko as well. Still doesn't look like Kadeem Coleman is ever going to come back. He has resurged last couple of weeks as well. So there you go for him. Bailey Dale's probably a little bit too expensive for what we're going to get from him. And then in turn, probably going to start to offload a Matt Roberts as well. So Roberts plus someone like a Clark on your bench could work out okay for one of those kind of things.
You could also look at a Tom Stewart as well if you really wanted to take the risk.
There you go. 504K.
504. Yeah.
One okay.
He does have the best run for designated kickers, if you think of him like that.
So, there you go.
He could average 110 for the run-in.
3 trades left. Team stays as it is for injuries. There you go, Frankie. Closey came back last year with the double ton 2, then dropped to 70-something. Brisbane has one of the hardest runs as 5 top 8 teams to come. Well, hey, mate, that might mean, Corey, that Danny Zorko ends up scoring big because the ball's in the back line. So we'll see what happens. If you guys need a midfielder, let's go and check out who's the best midfielders. And Tom McCarthy is up there again. But I think everyone brought him in last week. Errol Goulden definitely is not there for me. Zach Butters, I think, is too expensive for us in Supercoach land. So if you had him, you would be very happy. Traded Zorko last week today. There you go, Corey. Nice 131 for you. Who would I pick? Now, Brayshaw's definitely fallen off a little bit. Sarong would have been the one, if you guys caught me out on Twitter, to bring in. George Hewitt has been fantastic, and I think Carlton have got a half-decent run, especially with no Walsh in the team. Let's have a quick squeeze. Who could be the one? Who would be the one to bring in if you had some money to make things happen? I still reckon Connor Rosie. Connor Rosie, the DPP, is giving you really good value for price. Zach Merritt, with a few more backline players coming back, he could offer some value there. Super pod would be Finn Callahan as well. Last 2 or 3 weeks, I think he's been going fantastic. Whereas at 123, 113. So he could be a sneaky pod for some people. Let's have a bit of a look. No one would own him.
There's not many, to be honest, that I'm looking at and going, I really like, just based off of, I have in front of me the sort of averages for the remainder of the season of who they're playing. And I'm just looking at it going, top is Richmond. There's no Richmond players. GWS, that would be Callahan. I don't know what's Tom Green priced at. Is he like up there? Because let's just see. Tom Green, 597, too expensive.
Yeah.
Then you've got St Kilda. St Kilda, there's basically no one other than Jack McRae. So maybe, but that's a forward anyway. Then you've got Geelong. That would be basically a Holmes or a Smith, and most people have him already. Sydney,
most people on both.
Heaney, maybe, if you really wanted to go, but he's 580k, so you can't really, I think, go there. I don't think there's anyone. Maybe you go Golden just to be ultra poddish because he had a decent return there, and kind of sucks that Gordon is probably somehow going to find a way to be priced roughly what he is or was at last year anyway, which you would have hoped he would have started the season off slow and found a way to be priced like 5 points cheaper. But he already looks back to his best somehow, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, 581k for him against Fremantle. I don't know.
Yeah. Sneaky flex for you guys that are still looking for a flex position. Probably was the best thing to get them in last week or the week before as well. Darcy Cameron, still fairly cheap for what we're getting from him. Rowan Marshall is probably the one as well. Let me find him. Rowan Marshall, 531. Only ended up going up to 20k this week. Seems to have an okay run for the next while to go. Could always get Matt Flynn back in. Probably my two selections, I would say, for rucks. Jackson, too expensive, though. Kai, if Darcy's gone from Freo next year, Jackson auto-locking your team in the forward line?
Is he going to get forward status still? That'll be interesting.
That'd be great, though.
I think he would, surely, but it would obviously depend because he's also just basically played as a midfielder as well when Jackson has been there. So he could have the weird anomaly of being a mid-forward, a mid-ruck, which would almost be better than a forward ruck in a way somehow, just because you never see that type of flexibility. But yeah, he's had, I know that this is rough numbers, but he's had 61% ruck contests and 75% CBAs on 80% TOG. That's not filling me with too much confidence that he's going to get that he's going to be able to get the forward status, to be honest.
It's if he does, though, super low for me. Just depends on price.
Yep.
Yeah, that's probably about it, really. Checking out some sneaky forwards. I know a few of us have players left in that position. I wish I did and not had Shai Bolton, but we don't talk about that. Mr. 431k has basically gone backwards in price now. Luke Jackson best. Jack McRae, still very, very cheap for what we get in terms of output. So just hitting the 501k mark. Matt Kennedy, similar type of player position as well. Nice to see Rankin have a bounce back this week, Kai, with the 99. Yeah. I thought he could have done a bit better for us.
That was annoying watching him get marked up for everything and then Dawson getting marked down for anything. I was like, is Champion Data actually watching this game or something? They had Dawson at one point had 2 or 3 contested marks, but he'd only been marked for 1. And there was at one point that they had Rankin get a clearance and a contested possession for the 4th handball after a stoppage that was 40 meters away from the ball. And it wasn't even anyone tackling him. He was in a meter of space. And I just went, you got to be kidding me, right? Yeah. That game was not scored well at all.
For those people, now the biggest slider, I think, in the forward line for me at the moment is one Liam Baker, alongside people who brought in Dylan Moore. I think we'll talk about him shortly. But last 4 weeks, banger scores. We saw last week why they brought him into the team. Being available in that forward line as well has been fantastic. And where is Moore? Let me see. Dylan Moore, still very cheap, 469k. Not sure about the run home, but yeah, very, very good selection there. So just something for you guys. Brisbane having a harder time means the ball is in Zorko hands more. Well, that's what I was thinking, Initiator. So great to have him in there. West Coast shifting the magnets around. There you go. Hard to go on Baker. Yeah, he's a bit of a shifty selection, very out of the air selection. A few people did similar things with Toby Green, tried to make that pick work, and obviously it didn't work out that great in Supercoach land, but same kind of selection there. So, yeah, probably got another 15 minutes, fellas, if you guys want to have a chat, whatever it is, talk some Supercoach. Kai, one for you that we haven't really spoken about. AFLW Fantasy starting up again soon. What's kind of your thoughts, takeaways? How well did you do last year? And yeah, what's some things to look out for? Because it will be coming
You're
out
putting
soon.
me on the spot.
Oh, I
here.
have.
I'm trying to find my. I'm trying to find my ranking last year. Quickly here, and then I was. Yeah, I think I can. 1 second here. Let's see. Log in. Let's see if they've changed it over, or like made you so that you can't actually. It seems like it's different. No. Okay. So I ended up finishing by. No, I can't even find my rank. So I might actually have to go back to a previous video or something like that. My last video for AFLW Fantasy to find my ranking. But one of the big things I will say comparative to the sort of men's, because the men's you get a lot of coverage about like each player, etc. So you kind of do fall in the cracks, etc. And for new people, it's hard to know who are the sort of good players. So what can happen quite easily, and one of the things I'm just looking at I ran a little bit of a code on the sort of best value players, and in the top 10, I think 6 or 7 of them basically didn't play last year. You've got played 2 good games of actual footy. You've got another 2 that have played 1 game, and then you've got a couple of rucks and stuff like that played 1 or 2 games, both injured. That's basically what it is. There's a lot of girls that come off ACLs that don't play for 2 years and suddenly are like, oh, they're actually really cheap.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a in-your-face Corey for last year and the year before. Got the sneaky hat 2023. Ended up finishing 39th. So very, very happy with that in a couple of years ago. I think it was the first year when fantasy really came through, and have a look at a bit of my team and how it was going. Just for some reference for you guys. We'll put out a bunch of videos. Maybe me and Kai will do a bit of a collab this year for AFLW. But biggest thing that I saw from this year and takeaways heading into the new season is spend up in the midfield as much as you can, because unlike SUPERCOACH, in AFLW Fantasy, unless they've changed the rules for this year, which I don't think they will, you end up having 3 trades every week, and it's a lot harder to get to 1.5 million than it is to get to like 700k or 600k and whatnot. Players go up and down.
Did you ride the whole year without her?
Who?
Did you go the whole year without Marinoff?
Yes, I believe so.
Far out.
Or I got rid of her or something because she was really expensive, and I downgraded and got like.
She ended the year at 1.8. Yeah. She ended the year at 1.86. So you probably got, I would hazard to guess, probably Hatchard, and then went, I can basically get like a Randall or something like that as alongside her.
Yeah. I think I ended up getting.
You could almost do 3 upgrades.
I think I ended up trading her out, got Riddell, and then upgraded like a defender or something. So just a bit of a sneaky thing in terms of pricing and things like that. Going back to what I was saying, that the midfielders are the most expensive, obviously, but they're really disproportionately expensive just for the fact that they pull out like 120, 130, 140 numbers. And for defenders, a 70 is like average. And for forwards, maybe an 80 or a 70 is average. So what you'll end up finding is start your season with as many expensive players as you can, plus probably what you would consider to be the best ruck. Grab whatever else you can, and then just upgrade into the other positions, because similar to SUPERCOACH, but maybe not as much, in AFLW Fantasy, the primos cover everything. You rarely get the rookies that come out and score primo level numbers like we're seeing with McCarthy, like we're seeing with a few other rookies this year at points in time. So
the only ones that tend to do that are the rucks, and if anyone's done any prior research, if you've seen any research for 2025, there was 2 or 3 rucks taken in the draft that I'm like, this could be someone that legit, like Geelong has a 191 centimeter ruckman, and they had a ruckman. She is the tallest player I think in the whole comp, and she's going to just do really well. So So there's a lot of, I think one of the big things is actually you have to nail your rookies like there's no tomorrow, because it's a shorter season, alongside the fact that after 1 week they can get away from you and you can't get to them. So there is a thought going through my mind when it opens, is that there's quite a lot of, and also one thing as well is that a lot of these girls as well, some of them, especially if they're not from Melbourne, will play in like the sample and stuff like that in their underage campaigns. Yep. So some of them, like, they'll be distorted in sort of where they're drafted compared to what they'll actually score. And I think it's a lot harder to see that in the women's game compared to the men's game. So yeah, I've sort of already done that. And there's some rookies that I'm like, oh, they're really good. But yeah, just looking through quickly again, there's one, two,
just
to three,
cut you off.
There was 5 rucks taken.
Initiator, it's not open yet, but Brightside, who works for AFL, who does the AFLW, opening soon. So expecting probably this week. I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the next 10 or so days. Will it show us the next day? Like, will it have the timer? When's the first game of the season? Because if it's a month out, I think they'll kind of do that. 14th of August is
more than a month.
Yeah. Keep me posted. 100%. This will probably be our Mondays, maybe Monday night AFLW stream for a while. So yeah. It's just pick role players as well are huge in AFLW. So we'll probably head off in about 10 minutes. But role players themselves are very, very big too. Who takes the kickouts at each team is basically the one that you want to select. Just because the skill levels for a lot of the players isn't that great. So having a dedicated role similar to a ruck is very important. And then forwards who play midfield, like in SUPERCOACH, is a big thing too. So yeah, you don't want to pick small forwards. Even if they score a 60, I could care less. Because I think, remember, what was it? I think Friswell was on the wing last year and she went out and scored 2 or 3 really good games. And I was just like, she's going to stop it. She's going to stuff up. And then she went 3 or 4 weeks and I think she might have only put about 160, 170 points on in a month. And it was just like, oh, well, she just forgot how to play. It felt like. So yeah, those are the types of players that you kind of have to forget about almost in a way. She went 78, 87, and then went 48, 62, 36, 72. And then when everyone thought maybe she's a cheapie, she went 33, 43, 35, 21. She forgot how to, like, the small forwards can legitimately score 5 points in the game and they did nothing wrong. They just didn't touch the ball. Have you had a look at the fixture, Kai, and seen who might have the best run? I haven't. Usually and what they'll probably do, and I don't know if you do the sort of same with your content, usually the first team I put together is just sort of here's what fit. I thought, who can fit. And then for me, especially with the men's, with there being the early buys, then I start to consider that. Then I start to consider other things and I think one of the last ones is usually who has the early fixture type of thing. It's usually a week or 2 out being like, oh, this girl could get away, or this guy could get away to an absolute flyer this year. And suddenly it's like, oh, yeah. But it'll be interesting. There's definitely quite a lot of midfielders, I think, that people will forget about. I mean, there was even, I think, me and Corey, who were doing a lot of research together, just being like, it's probably going to come down to a decision between Bowers and Prasparkas. Georgie's a lot more underpriced, and I think she could surprise people because a lot of people are going to go Bowers because she sat the year. If we have a bit of a sneaky look, sorry guys, it's turned into the AFLW show the last 5 minutes of the stream, but season 4 last year, obviously North Melbourne dominated and went big, undefeated, but similar to AFL, we kind of play off the bottom teams and which ones were the best. So Carlton, definitely a team to play against. GWS, good team to play against. West Coast, a good team to play against as well. Gold Coast, similar thing. Teams that Gold Coast should be better this year, but their academy starts to really just become a joke next year. They already have 4 of the top 10 players. It's kind of a joke. Well, there you go. Hopefully they can't get all of them. And then it kind of plays that way. I don't think from fixture, Kai, this year that they actually have any buys from memory.
No, they don't. There's no double ups as well, which is a lot better. There's no midweek as well, so it's a lot more streamlined, which is a lot better. One, because we were just saying there was so many players. I remember, if you remember in the doubles, you had, I think, Blackburn alongside 3 or 4 primos all got injured in their first or second game of the double, where they were trying to back up after like a 3 or 4 day break, and you're like, this ain't working out. This was dumb.
Yep. Yeah, no, I get that. So that's just kind of how it works, really. Similar to AFL, I think there's captaincy, vice captaincy as well. So you've got the loophole. No buys, which is fantastic. 12 games, which is big. Last year was 11. The year before that was 10. So we've got something to go there as well. So, yeah, just something for you guys. A bit of a heads up. We'll do a bunch of stuff when it comes out. And now I've got my AFLW hat on. There you go. I took a photo. Forgot to send it to you. Cool. Send it to me if you want. All good. Guys, last 5 minutes or so, let's chat some SuperCoach. Let's chat our teams. Kai, preemptive tips for this week before we know anything in terms of players coming out and whatnot. Let's have a bit of a look. You can give me your... we're going to go through each of the teams. Tell me if there's a captaincy or vice captaincy there for you. Actually, I can do it this way. Make it easier. So, North versus Western Bulldogs. Who's our pick?
North
assume
aren't going to tag, are they?
No,
I assume North aren't going to bring in Phillips. So I would say...
Start off. So which team, and then captaincy or vice captaincy. So Doggy's obviously going to win.
Yeah. I'm just looking at that midfield going, it's going to be one of the three is going to go 150 plus. It's just which one.
Yep.
And I think Ed Richards is just going to be able to just go off the chain. He was held to 60 odd, and I know Bontempelli's there, but Bontempelli sort of just attracts the attention.
Yeah, Richards is my selection as well. I think he's going to go massive. I think he's just going to be a really good player this week, and hey, Presto is going to be great for them. So, yeah, Ed Richards is the one for me. I've got Dale. I've got Bont. You could go Bont as well. I think Darcy's probably going to kick 8 goals. We saw how North did against... who kicked a bunch on us last week? 1 second. Was it Gunston or Chol? 1 second.
Gunston kicked 7, Chol kicked 5, and someone else kicked 4, I want to say.
Yeah. So Gunston 7, and then Chol, and then a bunch of Nick Watsons and stuff. So...
Ramsey would have kicked 4 if he could have sped up his time or whatever. He forgot to actually run in.
So I think it would work out fantastic for them. Carlton versus Collingwood. Who's our pick?
If they tag Nick Dacos, I'm just like, why? Like, I would honestly rather Carlton play like youngsters than play a tagger at this point in the year. But you know that they're just going to play Chincotta because he's back. And that'll probably limit Nick Dacos to like a 120, 115, not that sort of 150 big game.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't really see anyone particularly going large. Maybe a George Hewitt goes large, but then you've got Ned Long sort of playing that defensive role in a way. And I would say stop George Hewitt, stop Carlton at the moment, because Paddy Cripps looks like he's got injury after injury.
And Chera's not that great. Collingwood, 100% selection for me. If you wanted to, go Nick Dacos. D-Cam, I think, is going to monster TDK as well. Eagles versus Giants. My pick is GWS this week, Kai. It's pretty fair to say.
Yep.
Yeah, I could almost say go McCarthy VC if you wanted to be really cheeky. I think he'll do okay back at home. I don't know if there's anyone really selectionable from this game. Maybe a Tom Green if you had them. Initiator saying Green would be decent.
Yeah, one thing I was actually looking at, and you might have said he didn't do that well, but I'd be interested in another week's time of maybe even going bold with it and picking up like a Toby Green He's got an 89 break even. You could even do it this week and just be like, oh, I don't know if people are able to do it. But if you take out the couple of injury games that I think he's had this year, I think he's had 1 or 2 injury games. He still is, I think, averaging about not the 100, the sort of 90 or so marker. So for 352K, to get a guy that potentially has the ability to go like those 130 games as that 23rd premium, like you're basically getting him for what you thought Mills was.
Yeah, not fair. There's a sneaky one I'm going to talk about in the Geelong versus Richmond game too. So Tom Green, if you have him, unfortunately Whitfield doesn't go big because he's not playing. There you go. Essendon versus Gold Coast. This is a sneaky one, Kai. Who's your pick, Essendon versus Gold Coast this week?
So that's probably going to be, it's at Marvel, so it's not going to be, or we're just going to win all the hit outs. You'd probably say Rao because you'd think that Caldwell's probably going to go to like a Noah Anderson or something like that. Yeah, I could actually see someone like a Tuke Miller just because of how bad that Essendon defense is. Them just forgetting that he actually exists and him just floating in and actually scoring really well. But I don't think you could go there long term.
Maybe. Yeah. My pick is Essendon. I don't think I'll captain, vice captain anyone. I do think a Rao will go big though this week. I just think Suns away from home are a different breed to Suns at home. And Essendon's coming off post-bye. So hopefully they've got a few more players back. We may even see the likes of Reid come back, which I think would bolster their defense a little bit. So team sheets are going to read like an essay this week, Kai, for Essendon. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Initiator Anderson could be okay. There you go. Geelong versus Richmond. Who's your pick? Geelong at home versus Richmond.
The Geelong
who's
VFL
going to win? Yeah, the Geelong team. My sneaky selection, I don't know how much he is, but my sneaky selection for Supercoach, if you want someone cheap, Jezza Cameron has a phenomenal run.
421, that's not too bad. I was actually starting to look at that. I was actually starting to look at those key forwards, just being like, who has that run that they can go on at the end of the year? Usually it's about, you sort of look 3 weeks, I would say, is the risk that I'm willing to take, not 8. But I was looking at even guys like Thilthorpe, Jessica Cameron, who else is up there? And just sort of those other guys that have, I mean, we all have Darcy, but those type of guys there that can go on a 3-week sort of 130 each, and suddenly you're like, oh, I've just banked for what it is, for what they're probably going to be priced at. You're probably banking an extra 150 points or so.
Yeah, I think it's the real kind of differentiators. I mean, he's playing Richmond this week. Blight and a few others are back, so it may prove a bit of point of difference, but it could be a really good selection for the next run home. We've got a couple of people here. Smith will go big. I think Max Holmes will go big as well. It's my selection, obviously. Geelong, the winner. Lions versus Port. We've got 4 more games left, Kai, and then we'll head off. Lions versus Port. Who's going to win? Who's your selection?
I think that's Lions at home are going to finally figure out how to actually play at home after being basically unbeaten there for 2 years. So they'll win that. I feel like the Lions don't really play a forward tagger, do they? So Rosie's probably going to be able to go off the chain just because Brisbane can't actually kick straight. Because they figured out last week, but their long-running trend is not being able to kick straight. So he's probably going to end up with like 10 or 11 kick-ins.
Yeah, Zorko's going to be great for him. I think Brisbane at home is still a good selection, though I would imagine Port maybe will come out of nowhere. Your normal Rosie Butters may struggle a little bit versus a tougher midfield. So I don't even know if I select anyone, really. St Kilda versus Hawks, who's going to win?
Oh, this would totally be a Ross Lyon, just like, oh, we actually needed to win last week, so we'll win the next one somehow. But having said that, Hawthorn just look like they're sort of disposing teams in about 3 quarters and then just sort of hanging up the boots. So I just have a feeling that Hawthorn will win this one. And I actually do. Oh, but they've got Stocker, who's probably going to go to like a Dylan Moore. That would be annoying. But yeah, I still do like the value of a Dylan Moore. And then I do think that a Wanganeen Malira could do really well, because I don't think Hawthorn will do anything about him because they don't care.
Yeah. Hopefully Sinclair has a poopy game again, because I don't own him. Who would I pick? Naz could be an okay selection, I think, at Marvel. Seems to do quite well. I will pick Hawthorn just due to ladder position. Sydney versus Freo. Are you guys going to win, or is Freo going to get the W this week?
I think Freo is probably going to get the win this week against us, because, I mean, Sydney do have the likes of McCartan and also Amadi coming back, which should help them. But you would expect, and this is basically on the premise of team sheets, that the Sydney play their rookies. I know it will be tighter, but I also think that they were lucky to scrape over the line against Freo early on in the year, and Freo should have won that game. So I think that Freo will end up winning this week, and that would, I think, mathematically end Sydney's season, except for like a miraculously events occurring. So yeah, I think it's
Initiators here saying Goldie's looking good. Bit of a coin toss. I think Freo is more well-rounded, I think, as well. Ruck battle's going to be fun if it's not too wet for you guys. Darcy and Jackson versus who normally teams up with Grundy, or is Grundy kind of 100% ruck at the moment?
It usually is McLean, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see McLean dropped and then just say to Buller, you can just go and do the extra ruck, because he's done it in the VFL. But also they do have Peter Adams, who's, the annoying thing is Peter Adams is a really, really damn good ruckman, but he isn't a good forward. So yeah.
There you go. Last game before we head off, everybody. Thank you for everyone who stuck around as well. I know it's been a little bit different with SUPERCOACH kind of coming to an end, but it's great to be in talk football, talk some AFLW, everything like that. Adelaide versus Melbourne. Picking the Crows at home is probably hard to beat just in general versus a weaker Melbourne side. Kai, Dawson's going to go big this week. What's the over-unders on Dawson this week?
Or he could genuinely go like 125, 130 this week. What did he go last time against Melbourne? Last time he's gone 99, 114, 144. That's a 3-round average of like 117. 119 and a bit, I think. So yeah, he could genuinely go 125, 130 against Melbourne, which that could be a fullback captaincy option if you fail against like the Richmond or the West Coast.
There you go. Alrighty, guys, that has been us for today. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed what we're giving out. It's been a good kind of slower, less amount of time than we normally have, but I think that's just how everyone's going for the season. AFLW is going to be coming out soon, so keep an eye out for that. Going to put out a bunch of content, some kind of tips and tricks and whatnot. As Frankie says here, thanks for the stream. Always great content, mate. Anytime, Frankie. Congratulations, too, on the rank. It is very, very good at the moment. You're doing well. Kai, final thoughts, talks, whatever you want to do. What's up?
No, my team's pretty much set and forget at this point. So, yeah, it is what it is.
That is the same for our channel, unfortunately. It is what it is. We take it as it comes, as we do in SUPERCOACH land. I think the people that have had Tom McCarthy early have been very, very successful. I think the people that have Whitfield in their teams are now happy that they've got McCarthy potentially as a 24th, 23rd primo. So, yeah, it's going to be a big one. Initiator saying here, time to see those 2,600 scores. Really big one this week. If McCarthy shits the bed, I don't think he will. But if he shits the bed, there's going to be hey, I've got 24 primos and then now have 21. So we'll see what happens there. Guys, members live stream tomorrow, talking up the community team. Still got a few trades there, so very happy. And then the drive home at 5:30 on Thursday. Have a good one, fellas. Catch you in the next one.